All right, so this is just going to be a general overview of Sculptress. So I will make this video, and then I'll make one that we actually work on the character model or whatever. So this is Sculptress. Basically, the way it works is that it works by using a process called Dynamesh. So what that means is, if I hit W, I can see the wireframe. It's also, this is wireframe over here. Okay. Normally, if I were to try and sculpt on something, I might pull geometry out here. Okay, like let's say like this. But then what will happen is you run out of geometry. See how you get faceting and it looks terrible. Okay, that's normally what you typically see. Okay. So, but what I can do is this. If I put this detail on, it will actually create geometry as I pull it. So it's called Dynamesh, and basically it dynamically tessellates the model in order to create the geometry necessary for your heart's desire. Okay, so this can go on, and you can really go far with it, and it's really neat, and it works well. And it has some interesting things where normally, again, if like let's say I want to sculpt a small detail here, and also W2 to see it, but it won't really work that well because it's just not the geometry to support it. However, if I make sure I have this up, it will create the geometry necessary to make that happen. So basically, whatever you can sculpt, it will make, which is pretty awesome. Okay. So that's basically how the program works. Now, to navigate in this, you have to, if you want to rotate, okay, this is a line of symmetry, by the way, this gray line. That's this button right here. So if you want symmetry off, you just click on this, and it will remove the symmetry. Typically, you want it on, though, right? I want to sculpt on one side, have it happen on the other side. So to rotate, you just click anywhere not on the model, and that will rotate it, okay? See, like that. And if you want to pan or move the model, you hold Alt and you click out here. Okay, so that's how I would move it. And if you want to zoom in and out or truck in and out with the camera, you hold Alt, you click out here, and you start to drag like you're moving, and you will be moving, and then you let go of Alt, and then it becomes zooming in and zooming out. Or you can use the wheel ball. Now, if I go over here like this, and if I hit Z, oops, sorry, hang on a second. That will zoom in. Okay. So anyway, there we go. So that's basically how you navigate. All right. So it's a little bit different. It's the same navigation as ZBrush. So this is why it's a useful program to for Pixelogic to release for free, because basically it's sort of an intro to ZBrush. All right. Now to actually work on this, you use these buttons here. So these are the main sculpting buttons. So the first one that you really need, the first two you really need, are basically just draw and grab. So draw is just sculpt. So you go on there and you can see it pushes it out. Okay. If I hold Alt, it will push it inwards instead. Okay. So it'll invert the action. All right. So that's draw. Grab, you pull and drag out, and it will grab it and pull it out. Okay, so some programs call it like snake hook, things like that. That's the grab tool. Now, if you hold spacebar, that will allow you to change the size of your brush. Okay, so I hold spacebar, and you see where it says size. I can click this and drag up and down. And strength is how much it moves. So if I have this really shallow, it's not going to sculpt that much. But if I have it very high, it's going to sculpt a lot. Okay. And then size is obviously size. Now you don't actually have to click on it over there. I can just click and drag over here, left and right. So left and right do strength, up and down do size. Okay. And I'm going to Control Z, Control Z, Control Z to undo. So those are the basics. So every time also that I sculpt, so like I said, Alt will push in. If you hold Shift, that is smooth, which is good for kind of smoothing out details. Okay, it's the same as going over here and hitting the smooth brush, but you can just hold Shift instead. All right. Another thing to be aware of when you're doing this is this detail. So if this detail is really low, like all the way off, when I go to sculpt, it won't create dynamically tessellate new models. If I go really high with this, it's going to create really dense geometry. So usually you want to have this as low as you can get for what you want, okay? Like for what's necessary for you to model. You can also, sometimes, because there's hotkeys, like this is D, sometimes you accidentally click on clay, and you'll see, let's make it a little bit bigger so you can see it, it'll draw sort of a linear kind of, like you're adding clay to it. With grab, it's a bigger problem, so usually I keep that off. With grab, if you have global, it will physically just move the model, okay? Which is sometimes useful. So like for rotate, if I have rotate and I go like this, you can see I can rotate this piece. But if I actually wanted to, let's say, rotate, well, I won't do that. Let's say I want to rotate this model in general, I could click, and then when I rotate, it rotates the whole model, which you may or may not want to do. So, so there's rotate, scale, which is what you think it is, grab, flatten, does what you think it does. It will flatten an area, right? So it's good for trying to make a flat area. Crease is also very useful. You can get nice details with this. Okay, so usually I use crease once I get my sculpture a little bit better in order to add the necessary details. Inflate is kind of like draw, but it expands in all directions. Pinch will pinch an area, and smooth. Okay, so those are the main brushes. Now some other ones down here is reduce brush. So what that'll do is that you'll notice that sometimes when you go to sculpt something, like let's say oh, that was pen. Oh no, that is crease. Let's say I get this really detailed, right? So I just keep. If I try to smooth this out, it didn't work too bad. Sometimes you'll see like it's just not smoothing out anymore, and that's because there's all this geometry in here. What I can do is use this reduce brush, and that will actually, I usually just kind of tap a bunch. It will remove the geometry, which makes it easier to kind of smooth out, okay? So you are going to need to use this occasionally. Reduce selected reduces the entire model. So if I click on that, you'll see it just reduces the model as a whole. Subdivide all will subdivide the model, and then mask. So this one's really useful too. So if you use it here, it will, well, if you hold control, it will paint a mask, okay? But we're not going to use this anyway over here. Instead, I'll just use like the draw tool here. And what I can do is if I hold control, it will draw this mask, okay? What that does exactly is this. Now when I go to sculpt, that cannot be drawn on, okay? So basically it masks out that area, which is nice. So it gives you a little bit, it's like freezing it and making it incapable of being moved. Now, let's say you want to do the opposite. I could mask out an area. If I hold Control and Alt now, I can remove, right? Because it'll do the opposite, because Alt does the opposite. And now when I sculpt, it'll sculpt like that. But let's say I want to do everything but this. If I hold Control and just tap out here, it'll invert my mask, which then I could do something like grab with the global like this and take it and then pull it out. You see what I'm saying? So it gives you kind of some options there. Turn global back off. And if I want to clear out a mask, it's just Control, click and drag like that. So Control, click and drag. I'm just going to undo all that. Control, click and drag, gets rid of the mask. Okay, so that's mask. Now, if you need to start over, you can actually go and just hit new sphere. It'll actually do a new sphere, and then it'll start a new scene. Or you can add spheres. You can add multiple objects in here. I don't ever normally use that, but it is a possibility. Now, if you're trying to sculpt and you want to add some other options to this, you can go ahead and use this brush here. Let's see what's under options. Okay, it's not really gonna help us. I can enable this. So you're gonna notice that as soon as you do that, it gets kind of weird. Like it's not doing anything. You'd have to import an image. So I don't have any, but and then you can use that like as a brush texture, just like you would in like Photoshop or other things. It'll use the image as your brush. Okay. Which can be useful, but sometimes you might accidentally turn that on and be like, it's not working. It's just because you have this brush, and since there's nothing on it, oh, now it's doing this square thing. You can see it does this weird, because it's putting a square there. So you might want, because I put invert. Yeah, when I don't have it on there, you see it does nothing, but if it's on invert, then I get this weird shape. Okay, so, yeah, there's directional. There's other options too. You can change the material, although don't do it. Just use this generic one, but there are a bunch of cool little materials you can sculpt with. It's best to keep it just as this generic material. It gives you the best idea of what you're sculpting, and it also helps as far as when you go to actually paint on it. So once you're happy with it and you want to paint on it, you would just click paint. It's going to, we'll do, didn't do that before. I'm going to do 1024, and it's going to unwrap it automatically, and then it'll allow you to paint right on the model. First thing usually I do is I click on fill. I will click on this, and you can change the color here. Sorry, I did that quick. This little button here, and then you can change the color. This will make the outside turn white. So if you're trying to like get more of a desaturated color, so I'll grab like this, hit OK. And if I tap F, I'll make sure I got my strength all the way up. If I tap F, it will fill it that color. Okay. Now I'll just click on this and do, I don't know, this color. Now, what I can do is I can actually paint on this. Yay, like so. Strength, so you can hold spacebar and your size and strength do the same thing, right? So if I have it like that, if I take my strength down, it's going to be weaker. So you see it takes many more strokes. It's like an opacity to it. And then there's hardness and softness. So if I go super hard or soft, or actually I did it the other way. So you can see this is really hard, right? But if I go this way, then it's kind of soft. It's fuzzy on the end. All right, so that's useful. So we got that going on. There's some other options here. We can paint a bump map. So what it'll do is that it's not sculpting it, but it's making this fake bump map. Okay, so it's basically painting a pseudo 3D. All right. You can save your texture maps and stuff like that. You can bring in stuff. Let's see. There's the flatten bump, which is going to kind of like a bump map eraser. Fill clear. We don't need that. Paint bump. So you can kind of see all that stuff here. Let's see. Strengths. Oh. So let's see, options. Okay. Oh, here we go. That's what I was looking for. So you have brush and you have texture. You can import different things into here. There's also the ability to paint with a height mask. And what that does is it will only paint in areas where there's a crevice, or only in areas that are come forward. So like if I click on cavity, it'll only go inwards. But this doesn't have any cavities or anything, but you will see that later on. So sometimes you might have those on. You didn't mean to. That's why that happens. And then when you're done, you would just, you can save it, which I would, and then also export it. Okay. And that's it. Okay, so that's your basic intro to Sculptress. It's really easy sculpting, and the next thing I'm going to sculpt a character, and then we'll go from there.